What did you make of today's hearing?
Well, first of all, the hearing was absolutely historic. A lot of people, after the 180-day report came out to Congress back some time ago in June, they were underwhelmed, not realizing the intent of that report. And actually, we are where we are today with the hearings because of that report. I think people will look back and realize that this hearing was historic. I also think we can expect more hearings. I think this hearing laid a basic foundation to what the US government plan of attack is regarding this topic. There were no huge revelations other than we don't know. There were some key findings I found very interesting. One, it appears that the US government still considers this not just an air safety issue, but an air clutter, perhaps space junk issue. And they're not really grasping the notion of breakaway technology yet. And if they are, they're certainly not having that conversation publicly. But I am encouraged by. They were talking about quite openly about working with our closest allies and friends on the international side. So you're talking, who is that? Well, it's the Five Eyes relationship. It's Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. I'm very encouraged by that. I'm surprised that they mentioned that, quite frankly, because there's still a lot of countries that don't want to have this discussion publicly. But it is in the law now, certainly here in the United States, we must engage with our allies.
You have talked to some Canadian politicians about this. And I guess from the Canadian viewpoint from Mr. Maguire is he feels that Canada's not taking this as seriously as the United States.
Well, with all due respect to Mr. Maguire, I certainly wouldn't want to speak on his behalf. But what I will say is I believe he shares the same frustration that our lawmakers here in the United States have. And that is, there is obviously something in our skies. Northern Manitoba is a perfect example. You have a lot of incidents up there. In fact, you also have a very interesting relationship between Canada and the US. You have, for example, NORAD, which is actually the deputy director is a Canadian. So you have this shared concern over our northern tier, and it seems like neither government within our defense departments and intelligence communities really want to have the conversation. It's not that they're not seeing things, because they are. The problem is that they're not really saying much about it. And I think from Mr. Maguire's perspective, that's very frustrating. As a lawmaker, you are expected by your constituents to represent their concerns. And when information doesn't get to the right people at the right time, then you have a breakdown. And Mr. Maguire is absolutely correct in his concern, because he knows these reports do occur. I know for a fact that there are members of the Canadian military that have reported these incidents in the past, and it doesn't seem to go anywhere.
Just back to the hearing today, what were the things that you would have liked to have heard on the record?
We're establishing a baseline here. I think what's happening is that Congress is beginning to build a box around DoD, acknowledging that it's real, that it's important, it's a national security issue. And then through follow-on hearings, I think more details are going to be forthcoming. They don't even have a director yet. They just now announced the new director for this new capability. They've got a lot of homework to do. I'm not surprised, but I am a little disappointed that they didn't provide Congress more recent accounts. They're showing some old videos that have been out now on the internet for a while. That's not really helpful. I think what they need to do is share with Congress some of the videos that I'm privy to and that have been collected by U.S. military platforms as recently as a week and a half ago. With a lot of fidelity. These aren't just little balls of light on the horizon. There's something to it.
Are you willing to go on the record that this is otherworldly, this technology, that it's not the Chinese, it's not the Russians?
I will say, if I am asked to testify, I will gladly do so. We know it's not our technology. In fact, they admitted it. I actually wrote down the quote here, the blue on blue force. They know it's not our technology, and they admitted it. They're pretty sure it's not adversarial. Now, if we want to say drones and quadcopters to help ease into the conversation, well, that's certainly their call. But I think people will begin to realize that drones and quadcopters don't fly at 35,000 feet in supersonic speeds. That's just not realistic.
What more would you like to add that I have not asked you about this hearing?
You have a lot of people right now working behind the scenes in Canada trying to get to the bottom of this, and I want to applaud those efforts. You have some people both in the private side and the government side that are taking this topic very seriously. And I think if the Canadian people want answers, I think all you have to do is ask for them, and I think some of those questions will start getting answered.